So, alright, this is my very first YouTube video, and this is my 2001 EZGO TXT gas model. The engine is a 295 Robbins pre-MCI engine. What we're doing is we're going to pull the motor out today. We've already taken the roof and the rear seat kit off right over there. So seat kit's off and we'll be going in the garbage. We'll have to buy a new one. Let's see. Now, I intended to film everything, but we already got started, and I took off the rear maintenance body panel, which is right here. And also, as part of taking the motor off, you will need to remove the exhaust and the muffler, the exhaust manifold and the muffler. I already took it off. You can see it right there. I forgot that I wanted to film this, so you can see it right there, though. That's where the exhaust attaches to the motor. It's just 4 bolts. You can see the 4 bolt holes. There are 4 longer bolts, and then which go through there, through the manifold to the engine, and then there are a couple miscellaneous bolts that attach the muffler to the manifold. I slid the muffler out by the muffler was back there. There's also on the very bottom, you can see, if you look hard, I'd point to it, but I don't feel like reaching down there. There's another bolt at the very bottom where the muffler was attached. So you need to just loosen that up. I just loosened it up and lifted the muffler out. The reason why I started this first is because everything looked very rusty, but it turned out that the bolts were not terribly rusty at all. It was just, I guess, surface rust, and they pretty much came right out. So that's why I didn't film that part. So that's the only part that's going to be missing. We're going to try and get everything else. All right, and let's get started. All right, so really for no particular reason, we're going to get started with taking the airbox off first. So airbox cover, which by the way is brand new. I just paid like 30 bucks for that for no reason. Take the airbox cover off, it slides right off. Air filter, which is also fairly new. And then now in the airbox, there are those 2 bolts. I'm not exactly sure what size they are, so we're going to find out what size they are now. Okay. So it turns out that's a 10mm bolt. So my helper and son is going to take that off. You know, you could also use the impact driver.
Yeah.
Okay. So hang on.
You want this?
Yeah, continue.
Well, actually, you want the lock washer?
Yeah, just give me the lock washer.
Yeah,
and then,
I'll put that.
can you grab it or?
Oh yeah, sure, it's right there. Yeah, it's right there. Actually, let me put this in the bag.
Thank you. And we're taking all these bolts and washers and nuts and everything else, and we're just we're putting them where I'm just marking little Ziploc bags, and we're just putting everything away in Ziploc bags. I don't intend to use these later because I was originally going to put that in here.
Oh.
I was originally going to put that. As you can see, he just took the cover plate off. Now underneath there are another 4 bolts that are going to have to come off before we can release the airbox from the motor. So he's just going to take those off. I'm not sure if they're a little larger than 10s.
No, it's 10.
No,
Wait, which ones do you want me to take off first?
Whichever ones you want. Doesn't matter. You're taking ones. Again, you could use the impact driver if you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like this.
Cool. Just might go a little faster. So anyway, there are going to be 4 of those. I don't know that we need to watch all 4 of them come out. So I'm going to pause here. Okay, so those 4 bolts are out. They come out easily enough. They're all 10mm. Now, what looks like we have on the back side, looks like we have 2 more bolts and nuts and bolts that are holding it in together, so we'll get those off. If you need me to get a, let's see.
Also a 10.
If you need me to get an opening wrench to hold the other side, let me know.
Alright, it should work. Yeah,
You want to use a shorter one or not?
I should just be able to get it out like this now. Yeah.
Actually, is that not attached to the bracket?
No, I don't know. It might be.
Looks like it might be. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, I think it is.
Alright.
So anyway, okay, this goes in the airbox bag. Okay. And then there's another one below there, and then we've got, I guess it's a vacuum hose that attaches to the airbox. I'm not really sure. But anyway, by the way, just for the record, we've never done anything like this. We couldn't find a comprehensive video anywhere to tell us how to take this whole thing apart. So we figured since we were taking it apart anyway, we would try to make one. And I'm sure one of you folks will comment on how many times I say during the course of this video. You're welcome.
Everybody does that.
Well, I mean, you know, it's not a public speaker. All right. So now we just need to, let me get you a pair of diagonal pliers, and we'll just snip that off and pull that hose off, and that will take care of the airbox. So we're just gonna, that's just zip tied on there. You could, I imagine there could be, your setup could be different. It could be a little clamp, could be a little hose clamp, which was probably there originally, but it's a zip tie. So we're gonna just cut it off.
Does it really matter if I destroy this thing?
Nah. So my young helper here is going to cut that off.
What the hell happened to this hose?
Okay, that's off, and now the airbox should just come clean off, right?
Yeah.
You want to just take the airbox? And that's it. So that's it for the airbox. Now we have a pretty good view of the carburetor, as you can see. Carburetor, why is that? Should that be stuck open like that?
That's
oh, never mind. Sorry. Sorry. The answer is yes. So, all right. So we're going to take a look. Real quick, I just wanted to show you. This is the gasket for the exhaust that I was talking about earlier. So that goes there, and you can just pull that out of the way. And then this is just the manifold. So that's the manifold. That's where it was. The muffler and everything was attached to here, as you might imagine. But that's all it is. It's a small piece. I just thought it was rusted in, but you know, definitely if you're going to take this motor out, definitely take this maintenance panel out, because it makes everything much more reachable. Good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, now we're going to, since we're really not planning on reusing any of this stuff, I'm just going to pull off, this is the choke cable. It runs from the choke to the carburetor. I'm going to, I think I can probably pull these two little brass spacers off and probably just pull it out, the whole bracket. And that's, yeah, that seems to work. So anyway, okay, so the choke cable is officially disconnected. I'm going to mark this cable just so I know what it is, and I'm going to get it out of our way. Okay, stop.
All right.
Good? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the little hose that was attached to the airbox. We're just going to pull this off. I'm just filming this just in case I ever need to go back to this and remember it. So we're just going to pull this off, and I'm going to put it in the box and bag with all the other airbox stuff. All right, so that's it for now. You got it? Okay, so we're also going to need to disconnect the carburetor from the motor. We need to disconnect these linkages, so I'll probably just pull the carb right off, not right this second. So I'm just going to pull it off like that, and that's off. So the carburetor is free except for the fuel lines. I think these lines right here must be overflow lines. I'm not 100% positive, but I think that's what they are. You'll see that everything's pretty dirty under here. This cart's been leaking oil for years. So we just continued putting oil in it, which is why we're not, you know, really looking into attempting to repair this motor. Is it not running?
It is. Return.
Why are you tapping the phone?
To focus.
Okay. Which is why we're not really looking into repairing this motor. There's no point. It's almost 18 years old. It's been leaking oil for, gosh, I'd say at least 5 years. Would you say that's a fair thing? So it's just time to do. And the more we think about it, the more we figure when we have this thing out, we might as well just put a brand new engine in it. And since this 295 Robbins pre-MCI engine is long discontinued, we're not going to bother with it. I mean, getting it rebuilt is fine, but they don't make OEM parts for this anymore, so there really seems to be no point in rebuilding it, because if we rebuild it, I get another 2 years out of it, then I may not be able to find parts for it. I don't know what kind of damage is in the motor. It's making I think we just threw a rod. It's making a clanking noise and a, you know, bang noise when we were driving it, and then it's just making a clanking noise inside the motor, so it's definitely not a good thing. So anyway, we're just not going to even mess around with trying to repair this engine. You know, so I'm sure some people can rebuild it. I'm not one of those people. So yeah. Okay, so my helper is going to help again. He's going to just pull the carb off. Now, you know, since we took the airbox off, the carb will slide right off. So just slide the carb off. As you can see, the carburetor is nice and clean. We rebuilt that back in December. It's August now, so about 8 months ago.
Now we're getting a little stuck on the starter generator.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You got it. Okay. Good. So that came right off. And now I'm going to hold this for you, and you can just unscrew that fuel line. I got it. I'll hold it for you, and you just unscrew it.
All right.
However, just tell me where you want me to hold it. So he's just going to unscrew that fuel line. As you can see, I marked the fuel line with a little blue tape. Again, I'm not planning on reuse any of these things, but just in case I change my mind. Give it a, maybe it's not loose enough. Nah, it's pretty loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might just need to wiggle it loose.
I have 2 hands. I can do it.
Okay. There you go. Off. So that is the carburetor from the Robbins 295.
It's old grass.
So now you can see this is what it looks like without the carburetor on it. And as we go through this, there'll be fewer and fewer parts on this thing. You might as well take the gasket off. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, leave it on. Doesn't make no difference. Okay, so I'm going to. So carburetor off. Just it's really that simple. It just slides right out. Just take the fuel line off. You'll need to loosen that hose clamp, whatever kind of hose clamp you have, and then after that, you know, you just kind of have to wiggle it out. But it's, if you've ever done anything like this, you'll figure it out.
Bang.
Good. Next, we're going to try to roll off the drive belt. It should just roll pretty much right off. I'm going to try and use a little assistance from a screwdriver to roll it off, but you might be able to do it by hand. I don't know, and I don't care because this is how I'm doing it. So here's a drive belt.
Yeah, it comes off relatively.
Drive belt's off. Still in very good condition. It's an EZGO OEM part number 72054G01. So if you're looking for a drive belt, this is what it is. Okay. Next, we're just going to disconnect the ignition coil from the wire harness. And it's just they hook into 2 spades there.
And also here.
And there's also another connector that goes into the engine, another push connector, and
that's it.
That's it. So we'll just label that, you know, ignition wires. But we're going to leave the. I don't see any reason why we can't get the motor. Whoops! I don't see any reason why we can't get the motor off with that bracket on there. This is a ground, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to figure out where that goes. Is that underneath the?
It's like right here.
No, I know, but I know where it's coming from. But is it under? Like, I don't know where it's. Can you see where it's hooked to here or no?
It just goes like straight inside the engine.
Okay. All right. We'll have to figure that out. I don't really know where that goes, so we'll figure that out. And I guess somehow. No, this is the ground here. So I don't know what this is. All right. We'll have to figure out what that is and where it goes. I'm not sure what that does, and if I can't figure it out, I'll just cut it. But maybe I wonder if we do. No, I wonder if we do need to take this off. I don't know. All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so it just goes like straight into the engine.
Yeah. Okay. So underneath the motor, there is a skid plate. It's got 4 7/16 bolts on it.
17 millimeter.
Sorry, scratch that. 17 millimeter bolts on it, and my helper is going to take those off now because there are 8 engine mount bolts, 4 on the skid plate, 2 in the back. Here, I'll show them to you later when I take them off, and there are also 2 in the front, which I don't think I can kind of see them, but I'm gonna have to remove the starter generator before I can see them well. So anyway, we're gonna just remove those 4 from underneath.
That was the cross there.
That's one. Two, and we only have. Oh no, we have 4.
Yeah, we have 4.
Sorry. Let me know if you need me to hold that skid plate.
Yeah, I got it.
And 4, and that's the skid plate. So those are 4 mounts. You might as well take those off first. They can come off anytime, because what we'll do, what I've read in my researching this project, is to kind of place a jack underneath the motor, and then release the other 4 bolts, the 2 in the front and the 2 that are in the rear. So that's what I am going to do. The skid plate, as you can see, is absolutely covered in oil, and I cleaned it like not that long ago. Well, no, it's probably like 9 months ago. So we were leaking a ton of oil. As I said, this is not a rebuild. It's just get this thing out and see if we can still get this cart running kind of a project. But anyway, the skid plate's off, and it's 17 millimeter, and that's it.
Okay.
Good. All right, next we're going to remove the throttle cable. I have an OEM zip tie here. I'm kidding, I don't know where this is from, but we have a zip tie here. I'm just going to release it from the zip tie first. Throttle cable obviously goes to the throttle, through the throttle linkage back here. But anyway, the zip tie be gone. Okay, and then I'm going to, this linkage on here, I'm just going to pull it off of there. I don't know that I might need to pull this whole, well, I may need to do that later, because I'm probably going to need to pull this off too, right? Cause,
yeah, it's
otherwise,
attached to the motor.
Yeah, so I can leave this on, but I'm going to need to pull one side of this off. I don't know that it makes any difference which, but I'll get that out. First, let me get the cable off. Looks like there's this little thing on here. I'm just going to pull it off. It should come right off. If it doesn't, then you'll all be surprised, and so will I. Okay, so that comes right off. I'll put that on the side here. That was just a little cap washer that pushes on there, if you can see it.
Yeah.
But that's all I just pulled off, and I just pulled it off of here, and then that will allow me to take the throttle cable off. Now I'm still going to need to release the throttle cable from the linkage here. I'm just going to have to get a wrench, and I'm not sure what size, so stay tuned.
Go.
So this appears to be a 1/2 inch where it's connected to the throttle linkage. So I'm just going to loosen that up a little, if I can see. Now I'm just going to lift it off the linkage. I should only need to loosen this up a little to get it off the linkage. Or so I would think. But apparently not.
But it's still on there.
I know, but I don't know why this isn't lifting off. I thought this would just lift off, but now that I'm looking at it, it looks like it will not lift off. It's gonna have to get pulled out. So I'm going to pull this forward and pull it out that way. Okay, I thought it would just slide right up out of that bracket, but as you can see, if you can see the bracket, can you see the bracket? Like the hole in the bracket?
Mm-hmm.
It's notched at the top, so it won't lift out. And that's probably so it doesn't lift out while you're driving. I just thought it would, so I was wrong. Whatever, there you go. Still out. And now I'm just going to label this and Well, actually,
What?
we still need to disconnect this linkage somehow. I'm not exactly sure how to disconnect it. I could disconnect it from this nut back here, but there's probably, or I can disconnect it from this nut here, I guess. Yeah, I'll do that. Although there's probably an easier way. I don't know what it is. So let me figure out what size nut that is and put it back.
Go.
By the way, I forgot to mention it. This was 1/2 inch, this nut that I had to take off. So just so you know. Next, I'm just going to release this from this linkage. Like I said, I bet you there's an easier way. I just don't know what it is, so I'm just going to go this way. This is a 3/8. This is 3/8. It does not seem to be. Yeah, I think there's a way to pull these linkages out. Maybe if I loosen this. Is that 3/8 also? Probably. So that didn't seem to be doing anything. So I'm going to try and possibly loosen this guy. See if this does anything. I don't really know. Oh, well, that worked.
Hold on.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, as you can see, I loosened that nut a little bit, and it just came free. I think that's probably what I should have done to begin with, but I just loosened the linkage from here to here, and now it's at least disconnected from the rear end, and should be out of the way. Yeah, I don't know that I don't think I will use any of this when we do an engine swap, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So.
Remember the picture is just blank.
Yeah, I'll probably pull that off later, but I'm not going to worry about it right this second. I'm just not exactly sure what I'm going to need and what I'm not going to need. So anyway, I should be able to pull the motor with that on there. Looks like this, I guess this bolt's going to have to come off too. Oh, no, never mind. Because when these two, see here are the, just if you're looking, these are the rear engine mounts. This is one, this is two. They're right here. I don't think they'll be terribly hard to get to. We'll see. They don't look like it. And then there should be, and I know there are two more in the front. It's just they'll be more visible once I release once we get rid of the starter generator. Once we take that out. But okay. All right. So we're going to take off this, what I'll call a plate on the front of the engine or the side of the engine where the carburetor was, because I just don't know. I have no idea where this wire goes or what it's for. So I want to see if we take that plate off, we can figure it out. So first I'm just going to take the dipstick out of the way because it's in the way, and then we're going to get that plate off. This is, by the way, it's 10mm, very short ones. Just don't rest them up there because they'll fall. Just put it down on the floor. Yeah, that's good. All right. Now you want to just pull that plate off?
Yep.
Any sign of where that wire goes?
Right there. Right here.
What's it connected to?
It's just bolt.
Okay. So maybe we need to, do we need to pull off that whole igniter? Because we need to do we need to get this cover off so we can get that wire off?
Oh. It's just connected around that bolt. So.
Right, but how can you get into that bolt from there is what I'm saying?
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Or do we need to remove all that stuff first?
We need to remove that.
All right, wait, well, that did help seeing where the wire goes. I didn't have any idea where it went. I still don't know what it does. I guess maybe it's a ground?
Yeah, it looks like it.
But
Ground for the...
this should be a ground also. So is it maybe a double ground?
Yeah, but this is like, this is connected to the gas thing.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Because that comes all the way across. It comes all the way across through this.
Brake lights?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Unless that is the wire for the brake lights.
No, because see, this comes through here. I'm not exactly sure. If someone is watching this and they know what this wire does, let me know. Because I really don't know what it does and why it's here. I mean, I'm going to disconnect it. How many bolts is that shroud on with? One? Is it just two?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, this whole cover would have to come off, right?
Yeah, it's connected. It's connected by all these too, like all those with the brackets. I think.
No, it's like, well, there's one, but
And it's connected through the igniter down here. Oh wait, no, it's not. It just looks like it.
excuse me.
I mean, there's a third one right there. But...
Yeah, that's not holding that on. Well, that's holding that on. That's two. I don't know. Do we need to just to take that wire off?
I don't know if we're gonna even be using it.
No, I know, but see, the thing is, I don't know if I'm going to be using it, so I don't want to like just chop it off and then be like, uh-oh. Yeah, I mean, I could always put another connector on it, I guess, but anyway. Well, the igniter is just on with this. Just on. We take this bracket off. The igniter comes off, right?
Right.
Because the bottom part of the bracket should come. Because if we take this off, if we take this bolt off, and this bolt off, the whole bracket with the igniter will come off.
Right.
So let's do that.
All right. I don't know what size it is.
It looks like a 10.
I don't know if I can fit that in here.
You might be able to. But we might need a short one. Well, first check and see if it's a 10. All right, so that's also a 10 millimeter where the ignition coil is attached to. The bracket the ignition coil is attached to.
I don't know, it's gonna be too big.
So,
Oh,
that's not a 10, is it? Is that a 10?
It's 10.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, that'll probably fit. Good.
No, but I mean, like, I gotta do this.
Let me pause this. Let's see what you're doing. All right, so we are going to take the two bolts off that bracket with the ignition coil just to get it out of the way. So that is the two bolts are 10 millimeter nuts, whatever you want to call them. 10 millimeter. I'm not sure if they're nuts or bolts.
Nope. Alright, it's moving. So.
You might want to loosen that. Well, okay.
There's no what?
That's nothing. It's fine.
Where's the other one?
It's down
I
here. See it?
Yeah. That looks more like a bolt.
You want to just leave that there for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't like come falling off.
Just watch your hands. That's why it might help to wear some padded gloves. All right, so I'm not sure if you folks can see what's going on, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There are two bolts holding the igniter bracket in place and holding the igniter in place. We're just taking that out. Off, out, whatever you want to say.
It's a long bolt. Why is this bolt so long?
They're trying to give you a hard time. I think that's connected to the ground also.
Yeah, it is.
Long bolts. You want to give that to me?
Oh, here you go.
Where are these bolts from? Oh, those are from the plate. Okay. I forgot to label them. Wait, what am I taking a picture of? I have no idea. All right, you're going to need to pull the spark plug wires out. So hang on. So just to release that igniter, pull the spark plug wires out. 1, 2, and then the whole bracket's off. and that's that. And this is a relatively new ignition coil. I don't know if you can see, but it just came off with the, as you can see, it just came off with the whole bracket. So again, we're more than likely not using any of this stuff again. So I'm not being super careful with how I take things off. And I mean, I'm not trying to destroy anything, but you know, I'm not really like worried if I don't remember exactly where something goes. So this is just like for your reference if you're trying to take this out. You know, putting it back is solely your responsibility. On the bottom of that ignition coil was a ground wire. You can see it. That ground wire also attaches to the starter generator. We're going to remove that later, but I just wanted to point that out, that when we released the bottom bolt of the bracket that held the ignition coil, we also released the ground wire. So we're just, I didn't label it yet, but I will. Now we're just going to release or remove the other fuel line that goes to the very bottom of the fuel pump. Goes to this, to the I don't know what purpose it serves, but anyway, I don't know if it's a return or what, but is that a Phillips or a straight edge?
Yeah, it's Phillips, but
Why are you using a straight edge?
because I want to.
Okay.
And it works,
I think it might just pull off.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, it's coming off.
You might want to loosen it. You might want to
Yeah.
loosen it. And if that's a Phillips head, you might want to get a Phillips head screwdriver. We have a million of them.
Yeah. Well, then why is it so loose and not coming off?
Well, I'll hold it. Here, loosen it. It's going to come right off. So just hang on. Let me. Okay.
Getting there.
Mm-hmm. Does the cable still feel very tight?
Oh.
Anyway, okay, so that's off. So that just, I'm not sure if that's like an overfill or, I'm not really sure. I don't really know. So anyway, but that's the other fuel line. So, boy, I wonder if we might be able to, I think we can get into that ground without taking that whole cover off.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I think if we just, I think we can get in there without taking that whole cover off. Never tried it. But okay, anyway, that fuel line's off. So all the fuel lines are just now disconnected. Really, as far as I can tell, all we really have left is going to be the starter generator, and then should be the engine mounts. So unless I'm wrong, what we'll find out, because I really don't know what I'm doing. As I said before, we're kind of just, we're doing this for the first time. We've never done anything quite like this before. Various handiwork, and
Yeah.
this is just something we haven't done. So that's why I'm a little unsure as to exactly how everything works, because it's the first time. So anyway. It must not your phone. All right, so I'm going to pull this back. You remember that mystery wire we talked about earlier? This mystery wire, I still don't know what it is. Anyway, that's held in place by a Phillips head screw. I'm just going to hold this shroud back, and you should be able to get to the screw. That's okay. I think that's, you need a finer head Phillips, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, don't strip it, because you need a finer head Phillips.
Okay.
So, or you can. All right, I'm going to hold this back for you. This shroud, and see if you can get that straight in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
You're twisting it. Stop. You're just gonna strip it. All right, I think you already stripped it. Okay. All right, we may just need to get a small. We may just need to get a small ratchet or a small socket to get that guy out, because I think we've already stripped the screw a little bit. So we'll get it out.
I don't know. See,
I'm not sure what size it is. You might want to use it.
it's not. I don't think it's this size.
instead of struggling with this fan shroud, we're just going to take that other bolt off. It's a 10 millimeter. We're just going to take that off so we can pull the shroud back a little more easily. That's out. It's out.
This? Oh.
Or no, it's not. Never mind. Sorry, I thought it was. That'll make life much easier. Yeah. So anyway, you can see the fan shroud is completely exposed now. I think that's going to be too big.
Yeah. Oh, where's the
Yeah, that's a really small Phillips head.
I don't know where the size I just had was.
Is it this?
And
Is it this?
yes. I don't know if this is right.
That's too big.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely too big. I'll hold it back.
Yeah, but I got it. It's right here.
So anyway, this is a 7 millimeter on that Phillips head. Since we couldn't get it out with the Phillips screwdriver, the screws were it was a little stripped. We're just using a 7 millimeter to shake it loose. Sure you don't want to hold that shroud?
Yeah. Oh, what the hell?
And that's out. And that's it. So that is this mystery wire. I have no idea what it's to. I don't know what it is. I honestly have no idea. So I will ask around and figure out or find out what it is, because I'm not going to figure out what it is. It looks like it might be another ground. I'm just not sure what it goes to. So if that's what it is, that's what it is. But I don't really quite know. So I'm just going to label it with a question mark. So we're going to start trying to take the starter generator off. This is a 10 millimeter that's holding the ground in place, what I believe is the ground.
Do we even really need to take this out?
What? Why? It's how could you not take it out?
No, I said, do we really need to?
Yes. Because the other side.
Oh, yeah, the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so that's off. That's probably 2 wires and a lot of washers. Oh no, okay. It's just this ran from the starter generator from here to the ignition coil here, and now that's off. So I guess I'll put that in with the starter generator bolts. Yeah, now we're gonna have to figure out how to take the starter generator off. I'm not exactly sure. I know you loosen it up. I know you loosen the belt tension by this thing back here. I'm just not exactly sure how this whole thing is bolted in here, but we will figure it out. We'll figure it out. So stay tuned.
How do we loosen that up?
All right. Now we have to try and get the starter generator off. There's a 19 millimeter bolt all the way on the bottom, which I think is what it's, right, what he's pointing to, what it's, I think is what it's kind of mounted to. I'm not sure if we should try to take the belt off first or not, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. So you want to try and get that 19 millimeter out? You have room?
Yeah, I should.
Just watch that, push that cable out of the way or
What
whatever.
cable?
The cable that's right.
It's like... I don't know.
Starter generator is definitely moving. So.
Oops.
All right, well that's just
Yeah,
space.
I was gonna say I don't think
That's
it's
not
doing anything.
doing anything, I don't think.
Well, I mean, it kind of just loosened the nut on the other side. Oh yeah. Is that just spinning or is that coming off?
It's not doing anything. Is it spinning on your side?
Yeah, I'm just taking the nut off.
Oh, then maybe we just need to. So you got the nut. There's a. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, there's a nut on the other side. It's not completely active.
We must have shaken the nut on the other side of the starter generator off by doing that with the impact. So we probably, there's the, where's the nut? There's the nut. There, I hope you can see it. It's right there on the bottom of the starter generator. So you want to get that off the rest of the way, and then we could probably just hammer the bolt through the other side. Okay. Just
Yeah.
Is that loose, tight?
It doesn't feel loose. But,
Oh yeah, there you go. And that should pull out. Hold on. And that should just pull out on the other side. So it's a long ass bolt. I'm gonna just pull it out. So this is on the other side of the starter generator. Yeah, we probably should have loosened the belt first, but it doesn't matter. The belt's gonna be loosened out by default. Anyway, this bolt right here that I just took out runs all the way through the bottom of the starter generator. As far as I can tell, that might be the only thing that was holding it in place. I'm not really, aside from the belt. So now I'm going to just take the belt off. Okay. So we're just going to take the starter generator belt off, and then let's unplug all the wires.
These things come off.
They should just pop off, I think. Oh, maybe not. Well, let's see. Oh no, they're nuts. See? Okay, so we're gonna have to.
All right. Those look like 10s.
Look like possibly 10s. So the wires that are on here attached to the starter generator itself are like just these little nuts.
10 millimeters.
10 millimeter nuts.
A lot of 10 millimeter stuff.
A lot of, yeah, as he just said, a lot of 10 millimeter. You might be better off with a short one.
Yeah, but yeah. It's coming off.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it off by hand because it's tight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab a short one.
Well, I got this one by hand.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just gonna grab a short one.
And I'm just gonna put these on the. Yeah. So anyway, so we're just.
And then there's another one right here.
Take these wires off.
I don't know if we have to take that off.
No, I'm not taking that off. Oh, darn it.
Okay.
Can you reach that washer? Thank you. Then there's another set of wires underneath the boot. Another connector.
Oh, this one's
Another connector over there. Is it a different size?
No, it's too short.
Too short. So we're just gonna have to loosen these off.
Whoa, where did the nut go? I'll find it.
Give me the other washer and such.
Damn it. I have no idea where that nut went.
It doesn't matter, we'll find it. Well, it might have just dropped into the boot. Yeah, it did. Or did it not? No.
Yeah, it's a washer.
No, that's the end of the cable. So.
Oh, which one?
You found it?
I think that's it. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we'll just keep these together.
I don't know if there's anything else even holding that in.
There isn't. I think you can just pull it.
That thing, right?
No, but I think it's off.
Oh yeah, it is off.
I think you just pull it out. Yeah. So starter generator should just lift out. And it does.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. What's it still connected to? A ground wire.
I don't know what that's connected
Let it go. Well.
Oh yeah, it's connected to this nut.
So, hold on. Okay, so anyway, the starter generator did not pull right out. It's because there is a ground wire on the very bottom.
It's way smaller.
And it is a different size. No rush.
So that must be 8. We don't have one.
You probably have a short one.
Yeah, I can use it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if it's gonna be too short though.
No, it's not gonna be too short.
Yeah, I think it's heavier now. Like,
Okay. Just throw it here. Here's where I'm keeping it. And straighten it out first so you can slide it off. There you go. All right, now that should just pull out. Starter generator is out. You can just place that wherever you want. I know it's heavy. All right, so this is what it looks like without the starter generator in place. Okay, and these, where are the front mounts?
Like that?
Okay, these are the front engine mounts. This is where the carburetor was. There's one here, and there's one here, if you can see that. There's one here. So right underneath this cradle that the starter generator was sitting in are the two engine mounts. So that starter generator cradle, it looks like is where the front mounts go through, and the rear mounts, as I said earlier, are back here. Those should be the only four things holding the motor in place right now, right?
Yep.
All right, so once we take those engine mounts out, we're gonna have to lift the engine out. So we'll see how this goes, see how strong I am. All right, so now all we have left, as far as I can tell, with everything out, all we have left is to take the engine mounts off and remove the engine. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this jack and put the jack underneath the engine where I took the four mounts off from, or the four bolts out from the skid plate, to kind of keep the engine steady while we pull the engine bolts or the motor mount bolts out. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, so anyway, so we position the jack so that it's under the motor, directly in the center of the four holes where we took the skid plate off. Now I guess we're going to try and loosen the mounting bolts.
Okay.
No luck?
No.
Okay.
I need that.
All right, so this is one of the rear mounts we're just taking off first.
It's pretty loose. I just think that's my problem.
It's a little difficult to get a good camera angle, but you get the idea of where it is.
Oh, it fell off.
They're 5/8 bolts, by the way.
I think that's turning it.
Okay, let me know if you need me to do it, okay?
I think it's good. Yeah, okay.
It's out?
No, well, I mean, I'm able to do this.
Okay. Okay, that's one engine mounting bolt out. Let's just throw it on the floor here. All right, let's get this one in the front.
This one or?
No, this one in the front.
Oh yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah, just do a crisscross. So there's where the front bolts are. I had to put the camera down to crack them, but they weren't terribly difficult, and it just took a minute. I had to use an open end wrench on one because I couldn't get a ratchet in there. Okay?
Yeah. It's be easier for one like this.
So these bolts are not super long. I mean, they're maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I don't know. But they're long enough to be annoying. That's two.
Should I do the back one?
Whichever one you want.
Should I do the front one so it kind of levels itself?
Okay, I don't think it matters.
I think
I mean, they're all loose now, so I'm gonna. And again, I have the jack under there to kind of steady the engine. So.
Yeah.
So. Okay. And with this one, you kind of need to use an open end wrench with. Unfortunately, we don't have a ratcheting open end wrench, but it might be loose enough for him to get it out with his hand now.
Or not.
But as you can see, the motor is getting very loose, so I'm fairly certain we got everything out of the way.
I don't know why it's getting like tighter.
Maybe because I jacked it up a little.
Probably.
Or maybe it needs to be jacked up a little. Maybe I can take some of the pressure off. Hang on. See if that helps. Well, try to do it by hand. And then I'll... No? Okay, let's see. Tell me if that helps.
No.
All right. You want me to take it off with the wrench?
No, just keep doing that.
Is it, did I get it tighter?
Yes.
So I probably put the jack up a little too high.
That's okay. Doesn't matter, it'll get out eventually. This motor is getting pretty loose.
Oh yeah. This is something.
What?
I'm looking at this bracket.
Yeah, I don't know, it's definitely connected to the motor, but you want to just loosen that up even if it doesn't matter?
Do we still have a fuel line on here? What is this?
What is what?
What is this?
I don't know what you're looking at.
This line right here. This.
You're still recording.
Oh. Okay. That might just go into the motor itself. I don't know what that is. That hose. This hose right here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Worst case, it breaks something useless.
Wait.
Why is that loose?
Well.
Should be just this coming out.
All right. Let's see what happens. Let's get that bolt out.
This one?
Yeah. But I think we may need to get that bracket off. Although I wonder if we should take that bracket off first.
What are you talking?
This, whatever this is, because this is hooked up to here, right? Unless this whole thing comes off, but it doesn't.
No,
It's not supposed to. So I think we need to take those two bolts off before you pull that out. Before you pull that out,
okay.
I think we need to take those two bolts off because I don't know what they go to. All right, I'm not sure. You see these two bolts that are above the mount there, the mounting bolts? I'm not sure what those are, but they look like they're gonna hold the motor on. I can either detach it from here, I guess, or detach it from there. You could probably, I don't know. We'll see what we're gonna do.
Right.
Yeah, we wound up taking.
Probably like that.
It was here.
Oh.
We wound up taking this bracket off. It basically takes off the whole throttle linkage. I probably should have taken off the entire throttle linkage to begin with, but anyway, because this bracket right here would be, if it was this bracket right here, if it was still attached to the throttle linkage, it's gonna just grab on the motor. That was, as far as I can tell, that was the last thing other than the mounts that was holding the motor in place. So now we've got that out. We have two more mounting bolts left to take out. I'm sorry that I'm kind of getting off on the filming because this takes like 4 hands. Well, at least 2, but it certainly is helpful if you have somebody helping you. All right, you want to try and take out that front?
Yeah. What size is that again? 5/8? Yes.
Yeah, and this one we can't fit in anything but an open end wrench. We don't have a ratcheting open end wrench, so that would be nice in this instance, but that's 5/8.
Oh, that's not right.
And I think I said it already, all the engine mounting bolts are 5/8. Can't take that out by hand?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oops.
If you want to just leave that in a hair and get the other one out,
Okay.
maybe.
That one you can use a ratchet, right?
Yeah, should be able to. I used a 3/8 in an extension.
The what?
I used a 3/8 in an extension. That's a 1/2 inch.
Where's the 3/8? Oh.
It's probably back in the box. I put it back in the toolbox.
What extension?
Same size, 5/8 long.
Is this way like an extension?
Yeah, 5/8 deep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like one of those like long things.
So this one you can get in with a 5/8 deep.
Oops.
This is the rear one, the passenger rear mount.
Delay on
You-
it. I might just be able to get out the handle.
Whoops, sorry. Is that out?
No.
You sure?
Why would it still
Doesn't
be?
seem to be moving.
I can't even.
Still going? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Which one do you want me to take out first? The
Might as well
other-
just take out the back. You're on it, so.
Oh.
Well, okay, so that's out now. As you can see, or maybe you can't. The only thing that's really holding this thing up is a very little bit of that front mount and the jack. So I'm gonna have to pause this, and the next time you see me, the engine should be out of the engine compartment. If it's not, well, then I got a problem. So just to make this a little easier, I jacked up the motor as far as I could with the jack, so I'll be able to lift it out a little more easily. I don't know if that helps anybody, but I'll tell you in a minute if it helps me. What the?
The old thing that was thrown in there.
I don't know. So anyway, motor's out. As you can see, it's pretty dirty under here. As I said before, this has been leaking oil for a substantial period of time, so it's dirty. But you know, motor's out. Wasn't terribly heavy. It's sitting over there on a little work table. This is what it looks like out. Clutch, all that stuff. I'll probably take some stuff off of there, but you know, whenever I get around to it. But anyway, that's it. So if you're looking to take out the EZGO 295 Robbins pre-MCI engine, I hope this was a little helpful for you. It's really not that difficult a task. It's just a little trial and error if you've never done it before. But anyway, that's it. I think that's it for my first YouTube video, and good luck if you decide to do this. If you have any questions, I may or may not be able to answer them. So, thanks for watching.